Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Foliage. In today's video, we will be discussing about what are these spots on my plants. A lot of you guys might have noticed this and would be quite worried what is the next step. So before we get into it, let me tell you there is nothing to be worried about this particular spots that you tend to notice on your plant leaves. These are basically extra floral nectaries which are very normal on the plants. So these are glands that tend to produce nectar outside of flowers on plants. They can be found on any part of the plant including the leaves, petioles, stem, fruits, etc. They can also vary in size, shape and color. Sometimes it will be visible in the color yellow, purple, dark green and even deep wine red color as well. So there is nothing to be worried. You do not need to spray any insecticide or pesticide on the plant or any kind of chemical because as I said, this is harmless for the plant. If you are going to use any chemicals, that will further damage the plant. Whenever we tend to use any kind of insecticides or pesticides, that definitely takes care of insects and pests, but at the same time, it also damages the plant to quite an extent.
So what exactly is extra floral nectaries? Now basically these are a rich source of carbohydrates that tends to attract ants and other arthropods. The leading theory is that plants that tend to produce extra floral nectaries tend to develop a symbiotic relationship with these beneficial insects, which can help protect the plant from pests. For example, there are many aggressive ant species that can act as bodyguards for the plants with extra floral nectaries and may be more likely to interact with the plant if the extra floral nectaries are more valuable to them. So basically, these ants, they tend to fight for the plant. In return for these nectaries, they will try to fight the plant against the non-beneficial insects. Extra floral nectaries are also found in over 2000 plant species in more than 64 families and can occur in wide range of habitats and climates. They are more commonly found in tropical and subtropical regions.
Now another clip over here, as you can see, this is the stem of my Philodendron Parcio verde. You can see the amount of these deep red wine spots on the stem. This again is the extra floral nectaries. Now these generally do not involve in the process of pollination because as we all know, the flowers tend to produce nectar due to which bees, butterflies and other beneficial insects come to pollinate them. But our extra floral nectaries do not participate in the process of pollination. These will be more seen on the leaves and on the petiole of a lot of these plants. Now another thing what I also wanted to share, because we are talking about these spots, there is another way of defense mechanism for a lot of plants that are out in the wild. Now I'm not talking about this particular plant, I'm just giving you an example of this plant because this particular plant is a Philodendron line fiddle and this is a man-made species. Basically the variegation is man-made and you'll not find the species out in wild. But being said that, there are a lot of natural varieties of plants that also have variegation which is more yellow in color. Now again, the same thing applies over here as well. This is used more like a defense mechanism by the plant.
Now if I have to give you a very simple example, it's like you go to a grocery store to buy some leafy vegetables. The first thing that you are going to do is you are going to check your vegetables that you want to purchase. And what are you going to check out for? That if there are any yellow spots, any leaf has been eaten, if there are any bugs, of course you are going to check all of those stuff. You're also going to check whether the vegetable is fresh or not. Now of course if you're going to find a lot of yellow spots, eaten leaves, you are going to skip that and you are going to look out for a fresh vegetable pack that you want to take home. The same thing applies in nature as well. When the herbivorous animals tend to graze on plants, if they notice any plant that has yellow variegation or any kind of variegation, they will definitely skip that plant and go to another plant that is more green and fresh in appearance. They are not going to chew on something that tends to either look like it has some disease or it has been eaten. I'll give you another example of Philodendron Selom. Of course, the name has been changed. It has now been reclassified as a different genus, but this is another example.
Going back to the grocery store, you happen to notice that your leafy vegetable tends to look like this. Of course, you are going to skip because it kind of looks like it has already been eaten. And the same way, these plants tend to trick the herbivore animals that are about to feast on them. The moment the animal tends to look a leaf that looks like this, it is of course going to skip. It looks like it is already eaten by other insects, or probably it is infected with some kind of insect, and hence the animals tend to skip certain plants like this. Of course, these plants look absolutely beautiful to us humans, but when it comes to animals, for them it's all about eating fresh green leaves, and this is something that they are of course going to skip. Another example over here, this is my Perseo verde. You can see a lot of variegation, looks absolutely beautiful to us, but if there is an animal that is planning to eat this, is definitely going to skip because it doesn't look very healthy. Of course, this plant is also not a wild species. You will not find this plant out in wild. I think I'll have to check about it. I'm not very sure. So these are all the different types of defense mechanism that plants tend to show in order to protect themselves from predators. Now, I will also talk about another thing that I had recently read about plants, especially with caladiums. As you can see, this is my beautiful caladium over here. You can see these beautiful markings on the plant. Now, it was said in that article that a lot of plants also tend to mimic like they are being infested with leaf miners, because we all know a lot of plants tend to get affected with leaf miners. If you don't know what it is, I will put up the image on the screen. You can get a fair idea. Now, ideally, most of these caladiums are hybrids, but a lot of natural varieties of caladiums also tend to show up these markings. Now, when these plants show up these markings, according to the article, it was said that the percentage of the plants with these kind of designs had a very low percentage of getting affected with leaf miners, whereas a completely green caladium had a high chance of getting affected with leaf miners, whereas these plants were kind of spared, because whenever the leaf miners come to lay the eggs on the leaves, they tend to check. When they see a leaf that tends to look like this, they think that the plant is already affected and they skip the plant and move on to another plant. So I think over here I have got a perfect example, because this is a natural variety of caladium which is found out in nature. The others were hybrid, but this is a natural variety. So you can see all of these markings can easily puzzle the leaf miner. The leaf miner might feel that this plant is already affected with other leaf miners, so it's going to skip this plant. And in this way, the plant will stay protected from getting infested with the leaf miner larvae. They will probably attack some other plant that is more green in color, skipping the plant with this variegation or with this design. So as you can see, nature is full of surprises. It has evolved over so many centuries, decades in order to protect itself. They keep getting evolved every now and then. Even right now, while you're watching this video, probably there is some plant out there that is getting evolved, and this is the part of nature. So guys, that's about it. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.